I wouldn't say that it is particular dictators. It is also about autocrats. It's something that let me speculate about it. So I'm not I'm trying to analyze Trump's psychology, something that he clearly put out in his own writings. We know that he's an author of several books, but it is very clear that he likes doing international affairs, to do foreign policy through 101 mechanisms. He likes to do direct negotiations with leaders, with those who could be understandable for him, and he doesn't really like this multilateral mechanism of international organizations or alliances. So he wants to discuss matters with directly with, is it like Chinese Communist Party leader or president of India, for instance, because this one-on-one mechanism of negotiation, it's something that could be very much in parallel or linked to his previous business experience, and something that he, with his background, could understand. Which leads us to the point that it often happens with countries where those leaders sit for quite a while and they are like the sole rulers of those countries, like, for instance, Vladimir Putin, Alexander Lukashenko, Viktor Orban, or anyone else who has pretty much majority of power in a particular country. So if we compare it for a second with the European Union, let me kind of use the joke made by Kissinger, by General Kissinger, just decades ago, that we know who to call when we want to talk to Kremlin, but who shall we call if we want to talk to European Union? Who to call in Brussels? Because it's very complicated bureaucracy mechanism with very hard, especially for Donald Trump, to understand who's responsible for what. How much power does Ursula von der Leyen has, and if she's a decision maker on certain matter or she's not. And if we're talking to Viktor Orban or Mr. Erdogan or to Lukashenko, Putin, it is very easy for him to talk to them because, okay, they have close to 100% control of their country, and through this very simple design of negotiation, you can discuss almost anything because they can decide on every single matter in their country. So it is so to conclude, Trump's personality, his business experience, his psychology makes him the person who would be willing to talk to those who has the majority of power in a certain matter, which again leads us to autocrats and often dictators in some cases.
And let me ask you about the Belarus-Russia military drills Zapad 2025. The Baltic states already closed their airspace along the Belarusian border. And from the American perspective, how seriously are these drills taken in the West and the US?
Well, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting point, and I really hope that this airspace closure would finally work because, well, now it is definitely the security of the whole region. Um, 3 points here. First, as I said, the United States want to get uh, far, far away from European problems and from European affairs as well. By the United States, I obviously mean Donald Trump himself, because he doesn't seem like and doesn't seem believe that those problems are his own. Second one is that what we need to understand is that by tradition, Zapad exercises is something very, very serious. And I'm not only talking about Zapad 2025 or Zapad 2021, which was the preparation step for the another invasion on Ukrainian soil, which it obviously was. Since 80s, when Soviet Union started conducting those Zapad exercises from Zapad 1980, it was the largest scale land forces exercises. Back then, it was the Soviet Union, and now it's CSTO and the Union State of Russia and Belarus. It involves an enormous number of land forces and land troops there on the ground. It is also known that within the last 2 decades, Russia and Belarus tried to downscale by papers the number of forces used in those drills and those exercises. We know that they were constantly trying to present as less than 30,000 land troops there on the ground, just to make it slightly less than the limits where the OSCE member states should be present as the observers of those exercises, as the OSCE papers dictate there. But we know that the real scale of those exercises are often much, much more than they're trying to present. It is something serious. It is tests of their defense and attack capabilities, not only on the Belarusian soil, but in generally. Alexander Lukashenko preserved lots of Soviet military infrastructure and Soviet military legacy, from which current Russian leadership obviously benefit, since they're using Belarusian training grounds to train their troops within last years. So it is absolutely normal that EU member states and NATO member states are on alert there. But I would say that they're preparing for some direct invasion scenarios that were discussed within like last 10 years or so. I'm talking about the Suwalki Gap between the border of Belarus and Kaliningrad Oblast of Russia, which is something like 80 kilometers long and would take just a couple of days for Russian forces to occupy, basically cutting three Baltic states from the European mainland, leaving them and their future for Russian soldiers and for their brutality, which is kind of the nightmare for current security architecture. So it is definitely something very serious and should be taken at a serious account. At the same time, we know that Russia is using these, let's call it hybrid tactics of attack, and it seems like the European response is often desynchronized with the real tactics Russia is currently using.